It's Holly's first birthday party. She's 13 years old. Before her parents left the Jehovah's Witnesses, Holly had never celebrated her birthday.
Jehovah's Witnesses, I feel, are one of the most dangerous groups operating in the 20th century. They hide behind a veil of respectability, yet their policies can involve breaking up one's families. I don't know whether you'd call it mind control, I don't know whether you'd call it brainwashing, but whatever it is, whatever control is put upon you, it is very daunting.
Happy first birthday.
The societies say that the things that are associated with birthdays, i.e. blowing the candles out on the cake and things like that, were founded in pagan times, so demonic. Also, you're putting your child on a pedestal, which is not right. And I never agreed with that, because we all put our children on pedestals. So now that I can, I don't have to feel guilty about it. It's lovely, and she's so excited. She's so excited, it's her first birthday. And I feel very guilty. It reduces me almost to tears, because I think, you know, I've denied my children all their birthdays, all their Christmases, all the harvest celebrations at school, Easter, everything, and for no real reason.
We often say among ourselves that we are in the truth. Jesus predicted that divine teaching would be spread to people of all nations, and so it has come to be.
Jehovah's Witnesses gather for a mass convention. What began as a tiny Bible study group in Pennsylvania is now the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, with 5 million members worldwide, controlled by a secretive brotherhood in New York. Charles Russell started the movement in 1879, obsessed with biblical prophecy. He believed that by using the dimensions of the Great Pyramid, he could accurately predict the end of the world. Armageddon is still the central focus of the Watchtower Society. There are now 125,000 Jehovah's Witnesses in the UK, thousands in the southwest. The movement grows at 3% a year. The Jehovah's Witnesses have refused to take part in this program, but for the first time on British television, former members speak out against what they describe as the organisation which ruined their lives. They claim that some witnesses are so blinded by the Watchtower Society they've even shielded child molesters. Conditioning begins at childhood. Linda Burt was a Jehovah's Witness for 13 years and raised her children in line with the Society's teachings.
We were advised to limit our association only to fellow witnesses, as association with worldly people could possibly corrupt our children. So because of that, I never let them go to nursery. They never went to play school. My son David, before he went to school, never had a friend. When he actually got to school, he found it difficult relating to the other children. It makes a child socially inadequate. So I'd go and hide behind the toilet and watch him in the playground. And it quite disturbed me that he'd walk around the playground on his own. And I'd went to what we would call a more mature sister and explained to her my fears that he didn't, have any friends. And she said, well, when my children were small, they didn't, she said, and I would rather than walk around the playground with nobody than play with the worldly children.
The Jehovah's Witnesses believe the world around them is controlled by Satan. They're deeply suspicious of all things worldly. But they also believe that the day is not too far away when there'll be a final contest between the forces of good and evil, Armageddon. Then Satan will be banished forever and the Watchtower Society will inherit the earth. Professor James Beckford says that in the meantime, Jehovah's Witnesses keep the rest of the world at arm's length, and that includes birthdays, Christmas, even the established church.
All of those things are felt to be of the world and therefore tainted in some way. And they are preoccupied with the boundary between what is pure and good, which is the Watchtower Society, and what is impure and bad, which is everything beyond the boundary of the Watchtower Society.
Jehovah's Witnesses who break the rules and refuse to follow organisational guidelines are shunned by their friends and family. Nigel Rapson was excommunicated after confronting elders with doubts about the Watchtower Society.
Immediately, my sister, who's a Jehovah's Witness, her husband, and my brother and his wife, immediately, that was it. Communication was cut off. And my father, although he may speak to me, it's a very restricted communication, but more or less I've been cut off from real family dealings completely. And as for the rest of the Jehovah's Witnesses, I often see them in the street and they walk past you like you don't even exist. The pain goes on and on and on. It's used as an emotional blackmail, this shunning thing, so that it's, although they can't literally stone you to death, by separating you from your family and your friends and the loved ones, they can figuratively stone you to death. So it's a very, very great wedge for people to conform and to not even dare criticize the Watchtower movement.
Fear of the outside world taints all their views, including further education. It is of this world, and therefore satanic, and a distraction from the business of preparing for Armageddon. But academics claim there is another reason why the Watchtower Society doesn't like it.
If they encourage their members' children to remain in education beyond the statutory leaving age, then they risk losing those children, because they will be subjected to the influence of their peers in schools and colleges. They're fully aware of this. And so throughout most of the history of the Watchtower Society, there has been a distinct disincentive to members to leave their children in full-time education beyond the statutory limit.
The children are encouraged to leave school and become full-time ministers, get a part-time job to support themselves. Now, my daughter's quite a clever girl. She does very, very well at school, and she wants to be a doctor. That's, you know, sort of her ambition. But had we still been in the Watchtower, we would have encouraged her to leave school at 16 and to have been a full-time minister, a regular pioneer. She would have possibly got a job in Tesco's or the Co-op, something like that, you know, as a part-time worker, just so she could support herself. And that brain would have completely gone to waste.
For many Jehovah's Witnesses, the only real career is pioneering. But knocking on doors can be an onerous task. Pioneers spend at least 100 hours a month preaching on the doorstep and submit to headquarters regular accounts of their evangelical work.
Hello? Hello there. We're calling on you and your neighbours. We're doing some Christian activity in the area. Oh. Wondered if you'd be interested in reading our latest publications, The Watchtower and Awake.
I don't think so, no, sorry.
Well, I'd be pleased to leave them with you if you promise me you'll read them.
No, I really think you might be wasting your time here. I'm a bit busy. I've got to go. I'm sorry.
Well, there's a particularly good article in The Watchtower about the road to freedom, and I think you and your family will find it most interesting.
Well, I don't have a family, and no, I'm not interested, OK?
Oh, fine, thank you.
Rejection only serves to reinforce their negative view of the outside world. As Jehovah's Witnesses leave a convention in Cornwall, they are ambushed by protesters, a small group of Christians and former witnesses concerned about what they describe as the Watchtower Society's false prophecies.
Check out the back.